Welcome back to another video. It's been a while since my last video, which was the Porcupine Tree closure continuation unboxing that I did with my dad, which if you haven't seen, I'll link it in the description for you to watch. We did like a mini review and stuff of it, but as I said, if people want a more extensive review and in-depth review, then let me know. So as you can see, I've not really made an effort with my appearance today. Mainly because I'm really just not well at the moment. I've had a very, very stressful morning. I've been very sick and that's why I sound a bit weird, and my stomach is turning inside out right now and it hurts so bad. But I thought I'd give you guys a bit of content while I am recovering, because I was meant to be working today and obviously I'm not going to go into my workplace and infect everyone, so I'll just sit here and give a video to you guys. So June has been a really interesting month this year because I had a lot going on gig-wise, music-wise, whatever. And as you know, you might follow me on Instagram or Twitter, I do post updates about what I'm doing, whether it be like gigs or whatever. And it's been really, really fun, but I'm at the point now where I've been to a week of gigs and I'm absolutely exhausted as well. So let's just get on with the video. This is my June listens. There's not too much to delve in. There's actually just quite a lot of one discography. And if you've been following me, you might already know who that is, but I think I will touch on that a bit later. But first, I'm going to do something a little different. I want to show you guys the t-shirts that I got from each of these gigs because I thought they were all pretty cool and snazzy. So the first band that I saw on that week of gigs was Yes, on their anniversary tour for Close to the Edge. Initially, it was Relayer, but then they changed it because obviously it's 2022 and Close to the Edge was 1972, so it's a 50th anniversary tour. I know a lot of people were complaining about it because it was so soon after the passing of Alan White. A lot of people thought, well, what are they doing? Why are they touring? Shouldn't they be, you know, mourning the loss of their friend? And they did put on a very beautiful tribute when I saw them live. If you want to see photos of that, you can check my Instagram, but it was very, very nice and respectful, I think. So I got this lovely t-shirt, obviously designed by Roger Dean, which he actually made an appearance at the gig that I went to. That's the back. And he did a little chat about his work and how he got to know Yes and stuff. It wasn't very long at all because I think he had a very strict time frame to keep. So we didn't get a lot of Roger Dean, but what we did get was very interesting. So this is the t-shirt that I got from that gig. And funny story about that gig, actually, it was during the rail strikes, which if you live in the UK, you might be familiar with. That week was absolutely hectic for everyone up and down the country because the rail drivers and people who work on the trains, the tubes, were all striking, and so it made travelling around a little bit more difficult. Of course, I understand why they're striking because, you know, the pay is really bad and, you know, try and get some better wages, you know, but because of that, trains were a bit screwed. So what we had to do after the Yes concert was we had to take an overnight coach, you know, the National Express. If you live in, like, England, I guess, or UK, you'll be familiar with the National Express coaches. They go up and down the country, and we took one overnight from Liverpool because that's where we saw Yes, because they had sold out the London one, couldn't find tickets, so we got the one for Liverpool all the way back to London. It was a 6.5 hour journey overnight and I slept terribly, but when I got back I slept for way too long. So the second gig that I went to on that week of gigs was Red Hot Chili Peppers. As you know, I am quite a big fan, and they had some very nice t-shirts going on as well. That was a great gig. That was also during the rail strikes, so that one was easier to get back because on the Tuesday I think it was, that we were trying to get back, there were also tube strikes. The tube strikes only lasted one day, but we were able to get tubes back from Stratford, which is where the Chili Peppers gig was. It was at the London Olympic Stadium, and it was absolutely fantastic. We had great seats because we bought tickets as they came out last year, and that was just fantastic. I've been waiting so long to hear them live. I got into them during the lockdown, so it was really nice to hear them live and to go with your own as well. The day after that, I went to another really loud gig, which was Rammstein, or Rammstein, however you want to pronounce it. I'm actually wearing another t-shirt I got from that gig. This has just got Rammstein on the back, but this was the tour t-shirt here. They actually ran out of these, I think, at one point, so me and my mum were really lucky to actually get one. Yes, I went with my mother. I went with my mum to see Rammstein because she loves them. She can speak German as well, so she can actually understand it, and it's really cool. But that was another really great gig. That was in Coventry. I know they played in Cardiff. It was either yesterday or the day before, but I really wanted to go to that one as well because I was so impressed with their gig in Coventry that I really wanted to just travel to Wales and watch them, but I did not have the money for the train, and I did not have the money to stay overnight, and I did not have the money, most importantly, to buy a ticket. So that's a shame. They will come back around at some point, hopefully, because they were really, really good live. And a couple of days ago now, this was the act that concluded my week of gigs. I'm not sure if this one will come as a shock to anyone, but maybe it will, actually, because I've never spoken about this artist on my channel before because I'm fairly new to her music. But I'm, of course, talking about Alanis Morissette. I saw her in concert a couple of days ago with Yoan, who actually showed me her music, and I really, really love it. And she was absolutely amazing live. She's got such great range vocally, and she put on a really, really great show for everyone. That was at the O2 Arena. But yeah, now actually on with the listens. I'm sorry, that was a massive tangent about t-shirts. I just love my gig t-shirts so much. So obviously, as I said, I've been listening to actually not much really, just one discography. So I'll just show that one last, actually. I'll show you what else I've been listening to first. So of course, before seeing Red Hot Chili Peppers, I was listening to a lot of their newest record. This is Unlimited Love. This is the website exclusive. So it's on gold and purple vinyl. It's more like a yellowy colour, neon yellow, than gold. But this is an amazing album. Obviously, this is the first album with John Frusciante back in the band. Very impressive album. And it's a double album as well. And this sounds absolutely fantastic on vinyl, and it just sounds fantastic in general. I love the Chili Peppers so much. They didn't play an awful amount from this album. It was actually the Unlimited Love tour, but they played a lot of the, you know, the hits, the classics and stuff like that, which I actually enjoyed a little bit more. But they did play Aquatic Mouth Dance from this album, which is my favourite track from the album. So I was really, really happy when they pulled that one out. And obviously they played Black Summer towards the end, which is, I think, if I'm not wrong, the first or second single they released from this album. I don't remember because they released quite a lot of singles before they released it. I'll talk about that one later. So next, obviously, we had another release this month with the new Porcupine Tree record, Closure Continuation, which is their first album for like, what, over a decade or something like that. Now, a lot of people have given this a lot of harsh criticisms. The way I see it is that bands don't owe people a groundbreaking album every single time they release an album, and I think a lot of people were expecting something really big and major, which this isn't it. You know, if you wanted something big and major, you're going to go into this album not liking it. If you're going into it just to hear some new music and just to hear some new ideas from the group, then you will like this album. I really don't like the approach that people take when they think that a band's newest album is going to be their greatest work, you know. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it isn't. More often than not, it's not. I don't know. I've not been, like, really, really impressed with a lot of, like, new albums that I've been listening to. This is probably one of the exceptions. I thought this was amazing. As someone who really likes this group, I am very impressed with it. I actually got to see Porcupine Tree do a Q&A in Kingston last week. That was before the Chili Peppers gig. That was the day before. And they were talking about the album and stuff like that, and it was really, really great to hear them all talking and also talking about playing together again and stuff like that. I will be attending their gig in November as well, so if you are attending that one as well, the one in Wembley, It was called the SSE Arena, now they changed it to the OVO Arena or something dumb like that. But do say hello if you do see me. It's a big arena. But that is an album that I have been listening to quite a lot lately. My favourite tracks, actually, see, I love the design of this, but I think it's called Chimera's Wreck or Chimera's Wreck or something like that. It's a long one, and I really like it. But I do like the singles as well that they released. Okay, I've got 2 albums left, standalones, before I talk about the discography. So obviously, as I said, I saw Alanis Morissette a couple days ago now. And this is the album that I've had on repeat since I have started work. And I started my new job about a month ago. So, perfect time to talk about this album. It's really become one of my comfort albums. And it takes a lot for an album to become a comfort album, because I really have to be able to relate to it whenever I'm feeling in the need to be comforted, if that makes sense. And this one has been there for me. So I owe that to Yoan for showing me this one, and it was so great hearing her live. She played the entirety of this album because it was 25 years, 25th anniversary. But I cry every time I listen to it, and it's amazing. Every song on this is just amazing as well. It's flawless. This album is amazing. Now the next one might get me some unsubscriptions because it's a modern artist that is very, very, very popular. Now, this artist is probably the closest that I am to a guilty pleasure. I personally don't really believe in guilty pleasures because I think that people should be allowed to like anything that they want, even if it's not the genre that they are confined to. I don't like doing that. I don't like being confined to one genre because you really limit yourself. That's why I'm trying to talk about other genres other than progressive rock, because there's only so much I can talk about prog. I know it's a huge umbrella term, but I like talking about other genres, and if it doesn't get me as many views as me doing a video on Genesis, then I don't really care. I just like talking about music on this channel. That's why I made it. But going back to this artist, I think that they are very inspiring. They are an incredible talent that have come out of the kind of latter half of the 2010s into this 2020s now. And I'm, of course, talking about Billie Eilish. This is her latest record. I think it came out a couple of years ago now, or last year. This is an absolutely beautiful record. The production obviously is fantastic, but the songwriting, everything, her voice, it just works so nicely with the music and everything. I think the first song I heard from this was Happier Than Ever, or maybe it was Therefore I Am, because that one I think was one of the massive singles. But Happier Than Ever was the first song by Billie Eilish I really connected with. Another one that Yoan showed me, actually. It's a very, very powerful and kind of moving song for me personally. So I decided, you know what, I'm just going to listen to the rest of the album, because if I like the song so much, the rest of the album should be pretty decent, right? And it was absolutely stunning, and I do recommend this to people. I recommend it to anyone who likes that kind of style. It's a very personal album. I just really recommend it just in general. It's fantastic. Right, so now we're on to the main event, if you will. This artist I have listened to at least once a day for the past month, because I was seeing them live. So I was really getting excited, and I just kind of delved back into their discography to dig up all the gems and get hyped for the concert. And I'm of course talking about Rammstein. That's why I'm wearing my Rammstein t-shirt today. I've just pulled out the entire discography that I have of theirs on vinyl, which has actually been updated now. I've got a few more Rammstein records to show. Now, I don't know if it's worth me trying to pronounce any of them, because obviously I'm not German, and while I was at the Rammstein concert, I could hear myself saying words that just did not make sense to me, because I was not obviously speaking German. I was speaking what I thought was German, but I was just singing basically what I was hearing, right? So it sounded awful, and I'm glad that I wasn't sitting next to anyone who was German, because I don't think that they should have been able to hear that. Although my mum does speak almost fluent German, so I'm sorry, Mum, if you had to hear me. Like, I was singing my heart out, I was having fun, but like, I don't know. Anyway, I've talked about this album. This is their first record here, and it's fantastic. But this is not the one that I've been listening to the most this month. It is probably, oh, it's coming up actually, it's not the next one, it's the one after. This is their second record, which I actually tracked a copy down. I'm really happy that I did, because I thought you could only get this record and one of the other ones that I'm talking about later on in the XXI box set, which is their kind of big box set with all their albums, excluding the latest 2 albums, so Zeit and the self-titled, which was 2019. Anything before that is in that box set, and I've never been able to find a cheap copy of this album until now. I found this on Amazon for about 30 quid or something like that, and when I went on Discogs, the only ones that I could find there were about, you know, 150, 200 pounds, which are obviously going to be like original pressings or stuff like that. But I'm really, really happy that they actually reissued them separately as well, just for the people who can't afford the box set. I really want that box set. It's so cool. It's got all the rarities and stuff in it. So that is the inside. I love the way they've, you know, spaced out the album, because obviously Rammstein songs aren't ridiculously long, but they have split it all onto 2 discs, so it's not all crammed onto one, which I like when bands do that, because it means that, generally speaking, it does sound a lot better. That's something that I've noticed. I don't know if it's something that everyone will agree with, but I'll talk about the next album, which I listened to on vinyl recently. I'm going to actually play this one when I finish recording, because I really want to listen to it on vinyl, especially the first track, the actual title track. No, I'm not going to try and say it. I just call it their second album. So this is probably my favourite Rammstein album coming up. Mutter. Match my t-shirt as well. I actually know what that means. Well, look at me, mother. I have played this on the record player down here with the really fancy speakers, and it sounds amazing. I was in awe for like the whole time I was listening to it, because like, oh my god, this sounds just incredible. Like, they make heavy metal, industrial metal, whatever you want to categorize them as, and mixing that is so difficult, and mixing it onto vinyl is probably even harder. But the sound was so full, it was very rich, and you could hear everything going on, and just fantastic. I love this album so, so much. I discovered it about 4 or 5 years ago, so I have been waiting nearly half a decade to see Rammstein, and I was so, so impressed when I did see him, and they played a lot from this album, which I'm very happy about. The next one is the one that came after. This is an interesting one to talk about, because this album has never been released on vinyl until recently. So this is actually a reissue, but initially you could only get this album in that box set, because I watched a video of someone unboxing it like a couple of months ago, and he was saying that, you know, this album, and I think maybe 1 or 2 of the other ones, were exclusive to that box set. But I'm so happy that they actually put this out as its own thing. As I said, reissued them separately as well for the people who can't actually afford it. But this is a great album, and I'm going to play this one on next as well, because I'm so excited. They played a load of good stuff from this album too. And obviously the last 2 that I'm going to talk about are ones I've already spoken about before, which are the self-titled, which was in 2019, which, fantastic album. They didn't play too much. They played Deutschland, obviously, because that's a real, gets a crowd up and going. They played, I think, the first half of this album at least. They played a good amount from it, and obviously they played a fair amount from their latest record. I thought they'd play a little bit more from this album, if I'm completely honest. I would have been happy if they did, but this wasn't I don't think it was specifically a tour for this album. I think it was just a tour of just them in general. because if it was touring the album, we would have heard a lot more songs. We only heard about 3, and it was the first song, the last song on the album, the first and last song, and Zigzag. Those are the only 3 songs that they played from this album, and I would have liked to have heard a couple more from this one, but maybe we'll get a tour for this album next year or the year after. That would be great. And that is the end of the video. This is coming up to 20 minutes now, so I will love and leave you. Make sure to get my merch down in the description. There is plenty of it. It looks really cool, looks really swag. Discogs, go check it out. Just if you want to just see our collection, or if you want to buy something. But I mainly recommend it to people who are always in the comments asking if I like a certain band or have a certain album. Check the Discogs, because if you type it in, it will be there if we do have it. Also, all my social medias are in the description. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.